Ah, is that where Myra got her dance booth from?
I was wondering about that the other day.
I thought she was just really getting into it. Cyan. Woo! I really wish we could put on music.
Tristia, what did you do?
Oh, I'm in the headset. I'm just moving my arms.
Your arms are like backward.
She's really
Oh, you said
stretching.
Tristia, sorry. You said Kristen.
Okay.
I think Tristia has her hands on backward.
I love all the dances.
Okay, well, so essentially Zoom right now is just a window into the room at the moment. Oh, I see Jason's coming in as well. So Jason, if you would like as well, I also can get you the spatial link. Otherwise, feel free to hang out here and be a fly on the wall. I'm just kind of sharing my screen of what's happening over in spatial. Which right now it looks like a bunch of, we're just kind of hanging out. Everyone's kind of testing out the spatial
This
app.
cake's got really big in the side.
Destry looks like he's like stoned out of his mind.
He may have walked away for a minute.
David, I love that.
Let's shrink it now. What's this?
He's in there twice. What is he doing?
I don't know if you can. I couldn't get any audio in the headset, so I'll here I am. I'm moving my headset around now. Yeah, I'll quit. That looks weird. That is trippy.
It's a Destry zombie.
How?
Whoa, what's that?
Oh.
A giant cat.
You're okay.
Just playing the zombie role to its fullest.
Hi, Casey. Casey Jason Hennessy, I see just came into Zoom, and I just wanted to extend the offer that if you would like to go into spatial and be a more active participant, I can get you the spatial link because I don't think we'll hit our capacity limit in there tonight.
I feel like we're just like silently trying to roam around the room.
Just silent disco. Let's see you dance, Myra.
You're gonna see my dance. All right, I think weren't we supposed to have a dance party?
We need music.
No, you don't.
If you're doing this on the computer, if you hit the 4 button, you pop and lock.
The 4 button?
Yep. And the 5 button, you churn butter.
Hey, Betty.
I love that.
Hey, how are you?
Good, yourself?
I'm good. This is, I really wish everybody had like the bottom half of their body though.
We are missing torsos. We're just walking torsos.
I did.
Betty,
Eamonn.
do I make my video while we're doing this? I'm going to do it with the headset on. I don't know if that makes
I
sense.
think
Though.
that'd be fantastic. Do it.
All right, let's do that. I'm actually going to eat dinner for like a minute, so I'll be back. I'm just going to stand awkwardly in the corner over there by the cake. I'm going to hide behind the cake.
The disembodied torsos give me pause.
Yeah, that was Eamonn. I know it bothers me just a little bit. I'm trying to not.
Oops.
Jason is in the house.
All right.
Yes. with
Pretty epic.
with enormous cakes.
Oh.
I don't know how to wave, but hi.
Hi. Hello. I feel like I'm waving waving to everyone in the room, including myself in that mirror.
The mirror's real creepy. You know, I feel like I'm
Yeah.
going to come up with something called vampire mode so it doesn't work.
Doors and mirrors we tend to avoid in our VR development.
That makes sense.
So does the selfie stick actually do anything other than just magnify?
It takes a
picture.
picture.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you take the picture though?
Push the white button in the middle underneath it.
Photo
Ah,
bomb.
okay.
Damn it, I was too late.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fall off my, oh my god.
Here, hold on. We can do it for what's her face? Alex.
Oh, there's the music.
I don't know why. See, I'm not smart enough to actually take it.
You're hearing
There's
that
a
from
button.
my VR headset that I can't
There,
get to
button.
pair.
There we go.
Here, we can have our
Okay.
dance party.
There's a huge
but why doesn't
donut
it
in my
take?
way.
I don't know. I'm not getting it either.
See, it hates me.
Hey,
Here, you can try.
Leslie, I was waiting for you to notice me.
Well, here, let's. Oh, no, that was not it.
Oh, I've been here for like 10 minutes. I had a hard time
alright.
getting in.
Ah.
But I'm here now. Ready for the dance party.
Bunny
Ready
ears!
for the dance
That way?
party.
No.
Ooh.
Ah! God, I just opened up the whole book. Did I just make a plane?
You've broken the
What
internet
just
now.
happened?
How do you get that?
Not the trigger finger. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the trigger finger, and I don't think it works with the other hand. So I can't figure what you have to.
Oh,
We
when
just
I did it, I
high-fived.
had to like push really hard with my finger.
Oh, you got it. Maybe.
I think I just got our what the our
Yeah,
our what
look
the
at
hell
you.
faces. Nice. Wow, I look like I'm wearing a lot of makeup.
I look like my hair is white. I don't know what that's about.
Kind of look like a hussy.
Frame, share, share. There we go.
I wonder if there was a lot of reflection in your photo that made because when I did the Ready Player Me, avatar, there was a lot of reflection and it gave me gray hair. Thought that was weird.
This was
but
like the
I
third
kept
one
it.
I took because the sun was setting and I looked like weirdly half of my face. All right, did you want this too? I can email it to you.
Yeah. Oh, why'd I turn it? How'd I do that?
Oh no.
I didn't want to do that.
And then you want to make it wall size.
I just want to rotate. Oh, there we go. Okay. Can we save it? Yeah, I think Myra, if you want to kick us off and say a few words, introduce us.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
and-
nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, this is very
like it.
nice. Little campfire.
Very.
Okay, so guys, I am not on a headset tonight. I'm on my laptop, and so trying to navigate through this is interesting. So give me a second. See if I can get myself back in here. I don't know where I am, but I'm in here somewhere. Anyway, so first of all, thank you all for joining us tonight. I want to give a heads up to the team that put this together, Tricia and Leslie, and I know I'm going to forget everyone's names right now.
Kristen
But thank you to all
Nicole,
the
Eamonn,
Kristen and
James.
Nicole. Yes, everyone who put this together. I am just here, just like the rest of you guys, participating in this. And I think that this is just a cool way for us to start exploring what XR can be like in LND. And as you can all guys, just from this experience right now, you know that everyone's distracted, right? It's all news. Everyone's just like putzing around, trying to figure out how to do things in this space. And I think when you think about applications in LND, we're going to have some of the same things, right? There's this learning curve that people are going to have to go through. And so when we think about it, you know, it's almost like, what are the true applications for something like this? So I am from the old school, kind of like learning and development. So before, you know, there was like L&D was like this thing. Am I in the fire? I feel like I'm in the fire. Anyway.
No, I think that was fine. Sorry.
Okay. But before there was, you know, things like virtual reality and augmented reality and, you know, all this other cool tech. Back in the day, we had something called Second Life. I don't know if any of you are old enough to
Second Life for the
Second
win.
Life. Yeah. But when you think about this, is what this reminds me of, right? It has that Second Life. In Second Life, you had, you know, you had legs. In Second Life, here we're floating torsos. But when you think about like the applications for this in L&D, I think, you know, it's compelling. And I have some data here. Let me see if I can pull some of this up. So there is data here on like industries that are going to be most disrupted by VR, AR, mixed reality. And let me see if I can, oh, this is not cooperating with me. See if I can make this bigger for you guys. Oop, did someone grab it? Okay.
My apologies.
Oh.
I was trying.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Thank you. So this is just like industries that are going to be disrupted by MR. And actually, no, I got the wrong chart here. This is the leading applications for MR. And if someone can help me kind of move this around so everyone can have it, see it, and it's readable. Thank you. So you'll see in there that some of the data says that a lot of it's like self-facilitation. And there's, you know, this immersive teaching experiences, which is supposed to be the biggest application in the education sector. So we fall under the education sector, right? So all this data is from statista.com, which I really do dig this site because you have access to data, and it's based on research that they do. And so you'll see at the bottom, like the self-directed learning. it falls only at the 20%. Where more of the immersive teaching experiences like this delivery. We've made this move to like virtual training, and I think that this would be an interesting application. However, I think that we are not there yet just because of access to good Wi-Fi, right? For a lot of users. You can use spatial on your phone, but the experience isn't the same. And from an internet bandwidth perspective, also, it can be challenging for users. So I think we need to figure out, like, does this create more access for people, or does it create a bigger barrier for people when you think about this application in L&D? What are your thoughts on that? Anyone have any thoughts on, like, does this application of MR have create barriers for people who don't have access to solid, internet connection?
I would say I would go so far as to say that traditional ID practices should just be used instead. Like, unless they can actually experience it in a way that's immersive, there really isn't any, there's no point in trying to, put the extra effort and money into it.
Yeah, and I think that's where there's been this low adoption, right, of VR to start because of the cost.
It's expensive. It's a when compared to things like XR or 360 video or imagery, it can be it's a lot more expensive. So you gotta, have a really good use case and the financial backing for it. So.
Yeah, and what do you think about use of spaces like this for learning and development?
You brought up Second Life. I took master courses for college in Second Life. Like, we met in Second Life, and it was unique and interesting at the time. It was, hey, we're in a first-person game, right? So I think these types of environments are interesting for maybe community building or relationship building, but I don't know if they're as, and not sure they're as good for actual content remembrance and delivery.
Yeah, right. So I
Yeah,
think we always go ahead. Who is that?
Oh, it's me, Kimberly. I was just gonna say that I feel like, even this meetup, this is the first time I've ever met with a group, in VR that was a L&D group, and I feel like this kind of a thing could definitely accelerate our ability to meet, like, conferences right now. People were so limited because of COVID and all that sort of stuff, and it inhibits us from meeting in person. And Zoom meetings are great, but everyone's a little bit bored with that. So this gives, at least for for us to be able to communicate in what feels like a novel or maybe a more personal way. This is the first time, like, I feel like Nicole. I know Nicole from having been in a class with her and talked with her in Zoom, but I've never actually, like, been in a room with her and met her in person. So this is the closest I'm going to get to it for now. And that's a good thing. I think that community building, Destry, I think you're really right about that. I don't know. Just the fact that I couldn't get my headset to pair, tells me there's still a long way to go, even from a learning curve perspective, and certainly an equipment perspective. But it's a start. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, right. And when you think about it, I think this is part of metaverse, right? So we are actually in metaverse right now. So it's just an interesting application, but I worry about the access, right, and the accessibility point of it. But it's gaining great adoption from an industry perspective. Let me see if I can pull this other data up for you guys. So this is just data on what is the spend right now. And if someone can help me make this a little bit larger, I would appreciate it. Thank you. It's how much, what the spend is, and this is 2020, I believe 2020 through, or 2021 through 2024. And this is like current 2021 data, because 2022 we just started. So there's been a boost to, this is just US data also, it's not international. And you can see that, it's growing. The spend is growing. So, that $30.7 billion is huge. And then the number of users compared to the amount of money that's being spent on it seems a little disparate in there, because there's only 150 million actual number of users in the US right now. And you keep on hearing about, metaverse, this move to the metaverse, and how metaverse is going to change things. I don't know if you guys have heard about, like, metaverse is going to create the new generation of millionaires, people who are going to be millionaires in the metaverse, but poor in the real life. And so from an education perspective, right, I think about those people who may be super rich in the metaverse. What is going to be their motivation to actually do any kind of learning? Or is it just going to be something where the metaverse is just going to be like a Ready Player One kind of situation, where it's going to be all fun and games. People may go to some kind of school, but it's not going to be as educational as we think it would be. Or is it just going to be
I
focused on
think
using the metaverse?
I would say that they're probably going to end up, we really need to do something different with it, though, right? I mean, they've all already broken the first rule. The first rule of metaverse is we don't talk about metaverse, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the first rule. But I think that this is great. I love this opportunity to get in here and try some new stuff out. But I mean, like you mentioned, this is very Second Life, only it's not quite as, it's like things we've done before. And that's where we tend to all sort of lean heavy into when it comes to development and different things. So I would say that it's kind of like we can be that pioneer group, like all of us here in learning and development can be the ones that really kind of figure out a way to use this in a unique way that brings more value to it, and also I think brings more people in to try it out. So, you can only make cakes big and small for so long before people are like, all right, well, what do I do next?
Yeah.
From an industrial standpoint, this works for me because if I can find the technology where I can place my robot systems into this and let users gauge that system, I can get a sense of how they interact with that system, how ready they are to go out into the real world and run it, just by their knowledge and looking at them, how they interact with the system from here. So I can see this being really helpful even for my service team. If we can just go in and say, you need to do on-site origin adjust. Come in here and let's walk through the process so you can see it in a safe space before you actually go out to the robot. So I can see, I see a lot of opportunity for this. From my standpoint, I think when it comes from a perspective of trying to teach anthropology, maybe it's a little more difficult, but I could see that being helpful too if you can get people into spaces where they could normally go. But from an industrial standpoint, from machines and working on machines, servicing machines, I think there's a lot of great opportunity here that I'm excited about. Being able to write the curriculum, that's why I'm here. It's just learning from all of you to actually develop a curriculum that matters, that's going to mean something versus the novelty of being in this space.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think based on kind of what Destry and Jane said, which is that, and also the name of our group is called XR in LXD, and really emphasizing the LXD of like experiences. So I think this kind of space is good, or the metaverse that we shall not name is good, might be a great place to think about experiential learning, and and how that is just going to be one more piece of a blended learning solution. So do I think people should come in here and look at a simulated computer screen with the same e-learning and a lot of text? Probably not. Like, probably, at least for the foreseeable future, using a monitor or some other sort of device is probably the best way to download a bunch of information or knowledge. But like James was saying, having a space where then people can do the experiential part of it, or do the closest thing we can do to like a field observation component to a training, I think this is a great place to start exploring that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm also just as excited as everyone else, but like, yeah, I definitely do think it's gonna take some brainstorming, testing, prototyping, trying it out, and yeah, a lot of investment for early pioneers, I guess.
Yeah, and I agree. Like the use cases, like James said, it's I think that's the perfect use case, is to be able to provide an environment where people can do things safely, where otherwise it would be costly and of high risk. From a learning experience perspective, I think the one hurdle we're going to have to get over is the novelty of it, right? I think you'll have to have like few sessions where people just come in here and just explore. And that's why, I think this meetup is so great, because it's an opportunity to explore without any rigidity, right? And I think that once people experience the environment, I think then we can start to set some rules of engagement for learning experiences, right? I think that we have to be strategic about it also. So thinking about how do you strategically place this with like leadership, right, in order to drive adoption, because if leadership isn't bought in, nothing moves. They become huge blockers. How do you guys think that can be overcome?
I think one way that can be overcome is by looking at the variety of different metaverse solutions that are available, and then finding the right compromise between immersing the learner, your specific use case and cost. Like for example, if we're just socializing, then something like this would work. But also there are solutions like GatherTown, which GatherTown is 2D, but it's still a similar concept of you're wandering around, and then you are also still able to see people's video calls and work together, and so knowing whereas other training replicates things that, like serious games or metaverse implementations that require a lot more horsepower. So really just figuring out, I think a huge part of it is just figuring out what the needs are, figuring out what the improvements you need to make are for your use case, and then figuring out which one's the cheapest and which one seems to be the most like something your employers or clients would like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I just want to say that I've been training teachers for 3 years in New York, and I started actually with AI and XR, and I don't know who talked about novelty, but I really agree with you. Not only novelty, it's also assumptions. And I also have been working with educators in VR on inviting teachers and training teachers on. So we took them to Altspace VR, Engage VR, Mozilla Hubs, Frame VR, and each platform has its own uniqueness and use case for so Frame VR, you can actually also create things from scratch and stuff like that. But what I faced was from teachers is their assumptions about VR before knowing what XR is, or so. But after 3 years, hopefully people have started actually to, why not we try this with our students, blend it with our traditional teaching, do some storytelling or some type of gamification, or in Frame VR you can link, you can put links to other frames, or other stuff like web links or other stuff. So it's really it requires a lot of work and designing things ahead of time and looking at theories and learning theories so that you can actually engage teachers in that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, from an adoption perspective, I think that we do have to get over the initial hurdle, right? I remember being in grad school also and, going through Second Life, and it was a novelty thing, right? We were building communities and looking at the ethics behind it. So I think that, people are afraid of what they don't know. And it's intimidating, right? Tech is intimidating to actually when you think about it. So what are some strategies we can use to kind of help people overcome that fear of the tech, or those preconceptions they have around the tech?
Well, I think especially like platforms like Spatial, they have, we can access Spatial from a mobile phone or a desktop phone. And so I think accessing it from tech that, people are pretty familiar with and comfortable with is probably the best step to get their feet wet before moving into a headset. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, right? That initial kind of like, hey, let's just try it out. Let's not try to do anything serious with it. Let's just kind of join and let's go into these communities and have conversations and learn more about it. I think once we can lower that barrier to entry, and people can, I think right now people see it as a game also. They're like, oh, people are just going into the metaverse and they're just going to play games, or they're, whatever they're doing. Have you guys ever been into like the Facebook spaces where you can go and join in and walk through a community and have conversations? There's some interesting conversations that happen in there, and I think people just take it for granted. They think it's just a bunch of people wasting time. But I think that, exposure, right? And I think it's baby steps with people too. So I think that's where with L&D, the adoption rate is going to be a struggle, as with any new tech. So we talked about some general applications that you guys saw with like this technology, and some great use cases around like industry and manufacturing, and creating safe spaces for people to try things. And we talked about helping people overcome those preconceived notions. Any other ideas? Because I think that's going to be the biggest barrier, is on the preconceived notions about the tech. What other strategies do you think we can use to help people overcome this fear of like the tech or the preconceived notions?
I think one way would definitely be to keep using to largely start with the tools like this that don't require headsets, because I think for a lot of people the expensive hardware for the VR headset combined with, say, the whole new experience of VR, as well as the expensive computers that are often required to run VR, I think that would be a big obstacle. Whereas with this, I'm using it on my MacBook Pro right now without having to use any additional technology. So I think that might be a starting point.
One thing also that can help is once they actually get into a VR experience, you need to make sure that their first one is a quality, well-designed, and focused experience. Sometimes, especially if people are averse to it, or maybe they already have those preconceived notions that, oh, it's just a game, having something meaningful and something that's easy to do and can kind of ease them into the technology, I've found that really helps a lot too.
So do you think that that in a space like this in L&D, you should have a focused activity at first?
I think a focused activity, like I find this to be really cool, but I also find it to be incredibly overwhelming. And I do a lot in VR. Like there's a lot going on here with the champagne bottles and the cakes and the stuff everywhere. Like I think if people came in and had one, yep, there's a champagne bottle. He's got it. I think if you come in and you've got one thing, like maybe everybody starts off talking about the design challenges, you know, and I know, and that's a tough, thing to kind of, that's a tough way to navigate it. You really kind of want to have something that's focused, that gets everybody sort of in, gets everybody doing something right away. You know, we need those quick wins. It's like when you get up in the morning, you make your bed, you've got your first win of the day, right? In VR, same kind of thing. You want to get in, you want to move to a certain spot, you know, have a successful task under your belt, and then maybe give you an opportunity to move around. I mean, that's game design or game mechanics 101 too, you know. Those are the types of things that, especially in this technology and this new space for a lot of people, giving them those small wins early on help sort of ease their mind a little bit. You know, I think people who come into something like this who are already a little bit hesitant might be more hesitant leaving this versus less hesitant in a situation like this with so many people and so much stuff going on.
Yeah, yeah. And I kind of agree with you on that. So I'm going to give you guys your first task. So we were supposed to do this earlier. So we're going to have a dance off just to break this off and break this up. So if everyone can do your dance moves, let's do a dance party for a few seconds here, guys. So if you're using a computer, you can use the 3, 4, 5 keys to do the dance moves.
Yeah, I did not on their keys. Oh, sorry, guys.
I'm liking the custom dance moves of people in headsets. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I see Kristen's got some nice moves over there.
Tonight I'm not on a headset because my headset actually died just because I haven't charged it in a while. So I'm on my computer. So this has been an interesting kind of path to figuring out how to navigate using, you know, a keyboard. So yay for everyone. Good job, guys. Like,
but I think
give yourselves a round of applause.
Yay. That did what Destri's comment
this
did
is
remind.
probably a good time.
Yeah, I think we're going the same way.
Yeah. Yep. I think that was a good segue to the design challenge. Kristen, take us away.
Hello, everyone. So we have figured that a design challenge would be a really awesome way for everyone to sort of, you know, dip their toes in if they'd like. So this is voluntary, but we have designed a challenge for it'll be for every quarter. So there'll be for a year, and this one will be due in April 1st. And the design challenge, it's very broad. It is, what does effective microlearning look like in XR? And some of the specifications that we're asking for this challenge are you can submit a number of things. You can submit either a design document, a storyboard, a prototype. It's really up to you what you'd like to submit. We just really wanted to get some ideas flowing and have just sort of a way for the community to sort of gather around a design challenge, share their designs, their experiences, and then we'll also have some award categories. So design document, prototype, web-based tools, and Unity and Unreal. Feel free to really design or submit whatever you'd like, and the way you will be awarded is the community will upvote your designs. Just be sure to get your designs in by April 1st. And down here we have really what would we need for submission. Everything will be submitted in Slack at the Design Challenge Slack channel. What we really would just like is your project title, a brief sentence description, the award category to help us categorize exactly what award category you're going for, and a link to your materials. And we know that, what is effective microlearning seems really broad. You could really design anything around that. So for anyone who might be intimidated by such a broad design challenge, such as myself, so we thought it also be a really good idea to have sort of a more focused exemplar and to give anyone, a good place to start to get those ideas flowing. So here's the one for this quarter, which is a 10-minute duration. It is a design challenge for how to create an experience of pulling the perfect espresso shot. There's a little sort of brief here. This PDF will also be linked in this design challenge Slack channel for future reference. But yeah, any questions? Anyone excited for it? Woohoo! Yay! Cool.
And I
I
also
actually
think,
don't remember what.
sorry,
Go ahead.
Kristen. Oh, I was just gonna say, like,
No, go
we
ahead.
never really explicitly said, but I think this could also be something fun if people wanted to team up on it. Like if it feels like a lot for someone to handle on their own, but you want to form a team. I mean, I think that's also a really cool idea because sometimes collaborating is what makes it fun. So
Absolutely. And this could also be a really great, artifact for anyone wishing to build their XR portfolio. And, any follow-up questions about the design challenge, just feel free to shoot it in the design challenge Slack channel.
awesome. Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think we have the room for another 15 or 20 minutes if you guys want to play around, and we can keep dancing. We can change the environment. We can
keep
eat more cake or pretend to eat more
chatting.
cake.
And yeah, and also thank you, Myra, for walking us through that discussion. It really, I think that might be the biggest draw of this type of meeting, is just to like have these kind of, fireside chats. We should rename to the XR and LXD fireside chats. I think that's it was really nice to just hear other people's thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I think this is great, guys, and kudos to everyone who has worked on organizing this. All the admins, you guys are rock stars in my book. Thank you.
Thank you, Myra, for kicking us off, and yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, and if you guys have any interest in talking about particular topics, mention it in Slack, and if you want to present to the group on something, just let us know. This is meant to be a pretty collaborative and fun community experience, so we want everybody to feel included and to share and to participate. So thank you, guys. Now I'm gonna do my my custom dance moves. Although I don't think it really gets my my shoulder swoop right,
Yeah, they haven't mapped the shoulders yet.
Yeah, the Macarena without the hip movements is just really, it's just not there. I mean, we've got some movement issues going on there. I think there's just a lot of
Holy
legs and maybe
There's
Tesla
two
suit next
Priscillas.
time. That's been creeping me out for a minute, actually.
How did you do that? Oh man,
One's
you were
on
right
browser.
next to each other too. Oh.
Hey, Tricia,
Good.
I
They were
took
Siamese
a
twins for
number.
a second.
I took a number of pictures of the group during the fireside chat. Do those go to your email, or actually, do they go to Nicole's email? How do we download those?
I have no
Oh,
idea. That's a very good question. You might look in your media, like try to add an object and see if you see the photos in there.
Good thinking.
I still find it weird that you can just float through things. Yeah.
So you know.
Oh.
Oh,
Ooh,
hey, there we are.
That's cool.
Oh.
Obsidian
Hey.
Gallery.
I
Well, this
like
gallery
this
is huge.
space.
Holy smoke.
Wow. It
Nicole,
is.
do
It's a
you
lot bigger
create
than
these
the other
things
one.
from custom, or there's still a tree in here?
There's like a
Nicole, do
library
you
of
just create
different.
these things from scratch?
I don't know where Nicole is, but there's a library of environments that you can scroll through, like different galleries and the fireside, and there's an auditorium one.
There's a giant cake on the water.
Yeah, all of our stuff is falling into the water.
It almost looks like a
I'm saving the
spaceship.
dog.
That's the appropriate scaled cake there, honestly.
Yeah. I'm rescuing the animals. And the wine glass. For
Can you
whatever
go
reason.
in the water?
Oh, Kristen's in the floor.
No.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know how it's possible, but I ended up on the roof by myself and couldn't get
What? That's crazy.
So, I was trying to talk during the fireside
That's
chat too, but I don't
hilarious.
think it has been working. I don't build these. You can build your own. They actually sell NFT environments now. It's like a new thing they're doing in the last month. These are all just from the system, but they're pretty nice, and they have a free plan, and so I pay for a yearly plan, but it's like still a very reasonable fee. But I freelance, and I was just kind of bored of staring at the four very blank walls of my office, so I wanted to build like a headquarters for your instructional designer in VR, and that's kind of how I stumbled on Spatial. There's a lot of really other cool apps out there too. I just like that, this one you can connect to on desktop or mobile too. So it kind of didn't kick people out who couldn't get on a Oculus or whatever they had.
Yeah, I think that's like a really cool feature of it, honestly.
But yeah, you can
And
build
unique,
ones. There's like
honestly.
an abstract. There's the gallery we were in. There's a mountain house. I can transport us to the ones that are here.
We
You wanna
could
see
do
the
a
others?
tour. Okay, but like, are you gonna get lost outside the
Yes,
bounds
sure.
of?
Maybe. So I thought that was really interesting though, that like it's actually built up there. I thought it would stop,
Yeah.
but I was standing on the roof somehow.
You know,
It
the other
happened
thing
to
that we
me
use.
once.
I was gonna say that's the plot of
I don't think
Free Guy. Like you ended up in some unknown space of the world.
So one thing that we use Spatial for all the time, like at work, right, is it's because of that multi-platform capability, it's like super good for any 3D object like design reviews. Like, so if you've got like,
Yeah.
because then you just drop it in there and it doesn't matter if a person has a headset or not. Like, so that's been really, really,
Oh,
there's
that's
still a lot of
cool.
cakes even within a work environment, but I'd say it's a good use of the tool set.
I mean, I've seen not in spatial, but in architectural engineering. engineering and things like that, they throw up their CAD drawing and they walk through it to make sure they didn't mess anything up. I think
Yeah.
those use cases are so cool.
So there's this thing called Revisto. I think that's what it's called. It's pretty wild. When you put it in VR, you can do both that architectural walkthrough, but then what it'll do is it reads the blueprints, so it'll even show you the measurements on the walls. It's pretty
So
incredible. Like
cool.
if anyone's got a construction thing, that's like definitely the thing you should use because it's awesome.
Have you done the Facebook Horizons? Because I
I
cannot
did
build
it.
a world there.
Yeah, like last week I messed with it a little bit, and there was like just miniature people running around the whole time. So I stopped, and then I figured I'd go back into it maybe in a couple weeks and mess around a little more. But yeah, I haven't really delved into it too much. How does it compare to this? Like after you've been in it for like a little bit?
I feel stupid in it, honestly. I can't figure out how to manipulate things. I feel like it's not as easy. Like this is easy to get in and like yeah, we're all messing around and we're a little confused, but it's confusing in a good way. Like I feel like I have all these options. I found Horizons was like I would need somebody there who's been in it and has done it before to come walk me
Yeah.
through. And they do have that. They have a Facebook, like the regular Facebook community where people will be like, okay, meet me here and I'll teach you how to do it. But I haven't made
Yeah.
it that far. I've also so something to think about for everyone, I guess. But I'm a woman in VR, and my avatars all look like a woman with pink hair, which is kind of how I look in real life these days. And so there's creepy nun in VR, just like in real life, and it can make the space
Oh,
uncomfortable.
I hadn't even thought about that. I was thinking about children running around and acting a fool, but like, yeah, I can see adults running around acting a fool too.
Adults,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
like
pretty
children, I'm
amazing.
kind of like, all right.
I remember when you posted about that in LinkedIn, Nicole, and I was like, whoa, that hadn't occurred to me, but I've actually been hesitant to just jump into any of these public spaces because of that reason, since social norms are like not established. But I figured this was like these are people that I meet on LinkedIn anyway, so just the nature of the conversation will like make sure that maybe the people here are going to be more professional, and it was kind of nice. It felt like this was going to be a safer space.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a good thing but it was good to see the heads up because like you never even think about stuff like that, but good idea to be aware of it.
Yeah.
So one thing that is kind of the other day I was in a class that was using Mozilla Hubs, and an interesting thing to like consider if you're trying to like replicate a classroom experience, which I don't exactly know why you'd want to do in that circumstance, but what wound up happening is like they did exactly that. They had a classroom experience, so they have like a thing on a wall, but because of the spatial audio, you needed to be like on top of everyone. Like it was like no personal VR space, and then like you couldn't read unless you were standing right next to the board, you couldn't read anything. So I would say like be mindful of that we can improve upon technology with like we can still do dumb stuff and really cool technology too.
Yeah,
Well, I
like I'm
think that
still figuring out the etiquette and social cues.
I think this you have to treat like the most amazing event space you could ever have, right? Like whatever your imagination can dream up, but it's an event. So if you don't onboard people into the event, they don't get it. If you don't set up things for people to do at the event, they'll just stand around like, where do I go? So I think that helps me think about how you could create immersive experiences inside something like this. I think like those videos, for example, where it's like step forward onto the line if you do X, and eventually they have people who are walking far and they see the division or whatever. Those would be really easy to do in a space like this.
Yeah,
Just
I agree.
generic presentations. And also, I bought this headset to go to the Global HR Summit, which they did in Alt Space, I think, a year or two ago. It had to be 2 years ago because I was very pregnant. And I got so motion sick that I didn't use the headset for probably another 10 months. So I thought this, I don't know, I haven't gotten any motion sickness from spatial. I don't know about any of you.
I think
I've been pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah, my first experience with VR was about the same time a couple years ago, and it wasn't on the Oculus Quest. It was on the whatever the precursor is to that, the one that's still plugged into the wall, and that one made me super motion sick. But somehow in the past couple years, I think things have progressed pretty well, and whoever the developers are have gotten better at making sure, at least in apps like this, that I don't think that the average person would get motion sick from an experience like this anymore. Whereas a couple years ago, I think a large group of people might.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like generally more of a best practice now to be like seated, fairly stationary to avoid that sort of motion sick. I recently went to there's like a VR arcade at a mall near where I live, and I rode like a Jurassic World VR experience, and I ended up being so motion sick afterward. I had to go home. Awful.
Yeah, VR roller coasters
And
are
that'll
no go for me. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Same with
No
the
way.
International Space Station game that's in the Oculus, like first games. I went in there for my first time being in VR, and I almost like vomited. I was so motion sick.
Oh god.
So pro tip then, right? I think we've got it. If you're going to introduce like your executives to VR, don't put them in roller coaster unless you don't like them.
Or on a space station. Yeah.
Or the space station. But I don't know. I feel like Kimberly was saying before that, I've seen you in 2D. I've never seen you in real life or in 3D, and I definitely feel more of a human, which is weird to say, a human connection to the people in this space than I do when I see people on Zoom.
I
Oh,
100% agree. And I didn't feel like there was a chance to say it after Kimberly's comment, but I 100% agree. And even now I'm on a desktop watching y'all in there, like you guys are a fish in a fishbowl. But when I'm in the headset, I 100% agree. The amount of like connection you get compared to a Zoom call or some other browser-based interaction, it just feels so different. That's a game changer to me. Like the fact that it would start off Tristia, me, Nicole, and Kristen, and when we first got into spatial, we were all sort of just like, we had never met in person. Well, maybe Kristen and Tristia, you had met in person,
right.
and so we were all just kind
Oh
of
yeah, we had
shy,
met once at
awkward.
Deadburn.
And then, after a couple times meeting in spatial, some part of my brain, I really do feel like I've met you in real life, even though I haven't.
Totally.
So it's very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really awesome feeling.
Hopefully you'll all feel it if you return a few times. I know the first day is a little weird.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm
Like, I
excited
mean, my
for this to be
video
a
game
regular
instinct.
thing.
Yeah, my video game instincts combined with my professional instincts are kind of kicking in at once. So it's like on one hand, I'm stacking cake on people. On the other hand, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should think before I do that next time.
Well, team, I've got to get some very non-virtual children to bed, so I'll talk to you guys in a bit. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
I am also going to shut down Zoom for now. But overall, great success this evening, everyone.